zoom in, zoom out. Ooh, you can turn it around. You can get in real close. Let's take a look at these ships right here. Ooh, 1 second. Yeah, look at that. You can see your little ships. This is the big mothership. That's the big enemy fortress over there. It's very cool to see in VR. It's very cool in all 3 dimensions. Oh my god, would you look at that? The controls, the hand grip controls, are pretty intuitive. You can like grip with both hands and pull in to zoom in or out. You can move yourself around the map with grip. You can move yourself around the map with the joystick. You can zoom in on stuff with your right trigger or zoom back out and reset your view. Very intuitive controls, and it's very cool to look at this space battlefield in 3 dimensions like this and move around and look from any angle that you want with this sort of God's eye view. I absolutely love this about VR RTS games. And this game definitely took a lot of lessons from previous VR RTS games like Eternal Starlight or Battle Group VR, those sorts of things. There's actually a pretty big name behind this game. I saw in the opening credits while launching this that Gearbox Software apparently had a hand in the creation of this game. Look at that planet. Doesn't that look absolutely awesome? And if you move around, it is actually a sphere over there, a 3D sphere. It's not just a flat skybox, and you can sort of see the edges of it a little bit better. Anyway, let's get into the actual gameplay of this game. Check this out. Here are units over there. You'll see, though, that they're not all just individual ships. They're separated into these things called strike groups. I have 4 strike groups here. You get more as you go throughout the game. This is a mission kind of halfway throughout the game where you just get frigates, the third largest or third class of ships. And so this mission is also pretty straightforward. Attack and capture these 4 shield emitters that are protecting that main base in the center. Pretty straightforward mission and a pretty good example of how this game plays. Now, as for the strike groups are great because you can change them and organize them to perform a specific function. Like what I like to do is I like to have ships of the same class in the same strike group so they move at the same speed. Otherwise, your little fighters, like these attack bombers or interceptors, it's a scout, or interceptors or something, yeah, like these over here, can outstrip your larger ships like these assault frigates or these corvettes over here. And as you can see, the typical rock, paper, scissors of RTS games apply. Certain ships are better against other ships, and etc., etc. And a lot of the tactical nature of this game comes down to making sure you're attacking the enemy ships with the right ships of your own. And you can also, there's also other considerations, like are you attacking from below them, from behind them, from above them. You can do some really sweet 3D pincer moves, and there's just a whole lot of depth to what you can do in this game, which is one of what I think makes it so much better than the other VR RTS games out there right now. Very quickly in this game, you have to actually make important tactical decisions, and this game has so much depth to it that I can't even properly explain all of it. I'm going to have to show it to you. Anyway, let's reorganize our strike groups here. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to make one that is a bunch of our fast-moving fighters. And I'm going to put the fighters in the back, and I'm going to put these corvettes, which are a ship tier above fighters, in the front, and actually have the attack bombers in the way back. So when I unpause here, I'm in the tactical pause right now, you'll see that they move to actually take the formation that I just specified for them. Also, as you can see, this guy's talking yada yada. I skipped most of that to avoid spoilers, and also because it wasn't particularly interesting to watch, I would think. But there is a story behind this game. There are like intro and outro cutscenes, just like in all the classic Homeworlds. And yeah, the story's like, it's okay. It's not like as good as Homeworld 1 or anything like that, but it is it's pretty solid, and it really keeps it moving. Basically, we're fighting these guys called the Rada, and that's really most of the story. There's some other justification behind why they're attacking us and why we're in such dire straits as we're in right now, but I'm not going to bore you with all that. If you're interested in the story and you want to see a bit of a continuation of the Homeworld universe, you can get some of that in this game, which is pretty nice. Anyway, I'm creating a big mega strike group here out of all my little ships, and over here I'm going to have a smaller strike group with resource collectors in them, and you can also put combat ships in your resource collector strike group so that while they're off collecting resources, they'll always have some ships nearby to defend them. I'm not going to do that right here because I have plenty of strike groups to work with. And here's an attack bomber. I'll move that here too. So I have this mega strike group of small ships, and then I'm going to have a big one made of corvettes. There is a cap to how many ships you can fit into a strike group and how many ships you have overall. But we won't have to worry about that for a little while longer. And let's see if I can build another frigate and put an engineer craft on the back. Engineer craft are great because they can heal large ships like frigates. Anyway, on to checking out our objective. Before we do that, though, check this out. Turn my wrist. Boom. Tactical map. Classic Homeworld 3D tactical map on the back of your hands. I absolutely love that. All right, let's move out and show you guys some of the actual action of this game. As you can see, the ships will spawn directly into the strike group that you tell them to spawn into. I'm going to send these resource collectors off to collect some resources. And resource collectors also don't have to go back to the mothership to build to drop off resources. All right, let's go do some combat here. Frigates, go fight those guys. All right, let's check out these frigates fighting these little fighters that are approaching us. As you can see, the enemy ships, the little fighters will do passes back and forth as they try to attack our ships. Oh, looks like they hit our engineer craft in the back. That's unfortunate. And also, all units have abilities, like this engineer craft can repair our big frigates. Check that out. And that's what's really great about heavier ships like frigates in this game, is because they can be repaired by engineers, so you really get a lot of bang for your buck out of them. Anyway, let's secure the area with our swarm of smaller craft over here, while our resource collectors over here are stripping these asteroids bare. And you can see from that pop-up we discovered another one of those 4 shield emitters that we need to disable. Alright, send these guys off. Now, in this mission in particular, we actually don't really have to worry about defending the mothership like you do in some other missions. The enemies don't attack it. So this is a very offensively focused mission. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of tactical depth in this game. Missions will all have like pretty different objectives that you can... Come on, get on there, bud. That you have to undertake in order to complete them and succeed. To build new ships, by the way, you do a tactical pause there, which pauses the entire game, and then you can build ships at your leisure. The one downside of tactical pause is I really wish you could give movement orders and attack orders while you were paused. It would really cut down on sort of the hecticness that this game gets to when, especially in later missions, you have like 5 strike groups to control. There's a bunch of enemy units. You have 3 different fronts going on in the entire area, or even just 2 different fronts, and trying to use the VR controls to control your strike groups while in that hectic area, in that sort of hectic mind space, can get a little bit out of control. It does take some getting used to as compared to a regular flat screen RTS. But I have to say, they've really done very well in simplifying things so that it's digestible for someone who comes from a more flat RTS background to be able to use. You don't have to control all these units individually. Dividing them up into strike groups, I feel, was a very, very good idea. It's just so much more. It's so much more easy to control a very large fleet because these guys are getting a little bit close to the enemy base. Exactly, because they're separated into these sort of individual units that you can have specialized for different roles. And that's where a lot of the depth of this game comes from. The separation of units into strike groups not only makes this game easier to control, but also just it gives you a lot of like depth to work with in how you organize your strike groups. I'm going, putting all of my corvettes and fighters into one big strike group here, and I'm also, putting all my resource collectors into their own strike group. But you can really mix and match to create some interesting combinations and some interesting strategies. Now, the downside of this game, though, is that as far as I can tell, looking through the main menus, it's only this single-player campaign. I couldn't find any skirmish, and I definitely couldn't find any multiplayer. Which is a real shame. A multiplayer VR RTS would be absolutely awesome, though they would have to make it so that you can build ships in real time and not have to tactical pause to build ships, because having tactical pausing in multiplayer would be kind of lame for at least one of the parties involved.
Executing repair order.
All right. One of you repair, one of you get on there, please. Please get on the shield emitter.
Strike Group Alpha, ready for orders.
They are really bad at getting on the shield. There we go. got him.
Deploying. Repair team awaiting new orders.
So we're disabling the other shield emitter. This mission is going pretty swimmingly. We are stripping asteroids. Ooh, one of our resource collectors did almost get destroyed, though. But we're still doing very well so far. Speaking of the original Homeworlds, by the way, another interesting feature that this game has that a lot of RTSs don't have is your resources and ships do carry over to the next mission, though there are some missions where you'll start off basically from a blank slate. So it sort of discourages you from doing that Homeworld 1 real hoarding of ships and resources right from the get-go, which, I mean, I'm one of those people that tends to do that. I tend to hoard resources. So you do get a reset every now and then to sort of discourage you from doing that. But it does feel punishing if you've been frugal, and the benefits of that frugality are kind of taken away from you, which is a shame.
Searching for those shield emitters.
All right, so the opponents and our people are talking trash back and forth, and here we are, rebuilding our fleet a little bit, repairing our frigates with our new engineer craft as we're gathering more resources over here. As per usual, you gather resources with your resource collectors to build more ships and whatnot. One of the other great features that I really loved in the original Homeworld was the ability to capture enemy ships and sort of forcibly bring them back to your mothership to use as your own. And so you can end up with a sort of motley crew of mixture of your own ships that you built and paid for and enemy ships. That feature isn't really present in this game, unfortunately. It is sort of teased, like you do have those engineer ships that can capture mission objective ships, but unfortunately as far as I've tried, and even the larger enemy ships, I couldn't manage to get any engineer ships to forcibly capture them, which was a real shame. Anyway, let's build another little frigate group here.
Engineer craft,
because we might need them soon to defend our resource collectors while these two groups continue to assault.
Strike Group Charlie, ready for orders.
Oh, are they attacking the mother? Oh my god, they are attacking the mothership this time. This is not the first time I played this mission, and it is the first time that I've seen that. So luckily, we've built those units to help defend it.
Heading confirmed.
Strike Group Delta en route.
Give a few commands over here. You can also chain commands together by holding down the left trigger, which is very useful in many cases. Oh, all right. Oh, this bad. They're coming for the resource collectors. And we're just going to go up and away, because just like any Homeworld game, you can use all 3 dimensions, which I haven't really been utilizing, in order to attack the enemy from sort of odd angles, places that they won't really expect, and get the advantage by hitting them from below or above. I absolutely love that about this game. Alright guys, defend the mothership, please. Please defend the mothership. Thank you. Yes. Shoot them. There we go. They're pew-pew-pewing away. Though one of the downsides of this game is the weapon effects aren't super impressive. You can't really see them from far away, and the sounds of the weapons also aren't great. This could easily be a hardware limitation for the Quest, because, you know, it's a big RTS game. There's some very huge battles that develop in this game, and probably it was just burning through the Quest's hardware limitations when the battles got really huge. So it would be nice to have some better particle effects to be mostly just to be clear what is shooting at what and what is dealing damage to what. Because from far away, when you're looking at a battle, it just seems like ships just sort of randomly disappear sometimes, which is not the best look. But I would say it's definitely serviceable. It's not the worst in that regard, and it services having these sort of big epic battles, which you really want to have in a Homeworld title.
We're locked into the target.
All right, we're getting pretty close to being done with this mission. We're doing an amazingly good job. Let's see, what else is there in this game, man? We got Strike Group Delta out here on a rogue mission.
Strike Group Alpha reporting. Strike Group Delta in
there
position.
We go. And you guys
Bravo, receiving.
stay behind. As I mentioned, the use of 3D space, oh my god, is absolutely amazing. This game really feels a lot like a Homeworld game in the music, the sound, but they don't really do that thing where your units will give out these sort of like death cries as they get destroyed or something like that. That really brought some emotional weight to, like, if you would send in a group of fighters on a suicide mission, you would hear them say very calmly, but on the verge of panic, on the edge of panic, but very professionally, like, I'm being destroyed, they're right behind me, that sort of thing. And there was a lot of emotional weight that was given to Homeworld 1, though even for another Homeworld game, trying to compare any of them to the original Homeworld, I mean, that's a bit of an unfair comparison to make. The first Homeworld is a classic for a good reason. It is, I think, the strongest of all the Homeworld games. And so comparing a later addition to the series to that original, it feels a little bit unfair despite them being in the same genre and literally within the same franchise. I think, removing those sort of unit barks was an intentional decision. And I have to say that regardless of whether or not I personally agree with that decision, this is still an extremely strong game. And just the strongest VR RTS that I've seen so far. You just have so many options in each situation. There's a previous mission where you're attacking this enemy refining station, and you basically are doing a hit and run. And what you can do early on in the mission to actually avoid a lot of unnecessary casualties on your part... Oh, I need to move Alpha over here too. Put the final repair ship on that. And then get these resources.
Engineer craft filling out the formation of Strike Group Alpha.
1 second, let me do a little management here. All right. What's really oh my god, they're under attack. Please defend yourselves, sirs, madams. And but in that previous mission that I was mentioning, you could attack 2 different enemy locations at the same time, or you could simply attack one and try to power through one side of the map, and then you would have to escape back to the mothership quickly to get out of there before an overwhelming force would destroy you. And I believe that was the 3rd or 4th mission. You get the ability to make actually important decisions very early on in this game. That was, I think, an hour, maybe an hour and a half in, probably less than that, because the first 2 missions are basically tutorial missions, and they were fairly straightforward. So, let's see, Homeworld Vast Reaches. There's probably more that I've neglected to say about this game, but I think it's very strong overall in so many different departments. And I'm just absolutely excited that a big name like Gearbox is behind the VR RTS genre. I think VR RTSs have a lot to contribute to the RTS space because you get this amazing view and you can move yourself around Minority Report style, zooming in and out, pulling yourself along the map. And the ability to more easily conceive and control things in 3 dimensions, despite the sort of lack of being able to of having that very limited level of control that you get with the mouse and keyboard to control big groups of units. I think regardless of all that, there's a lot that virtual reality can offer the RTS genre, and I think this is a big step in realizing that. If you really want a space RTS to play in VR, and you want one on the Quest especially, I can't recommend Homeworld VR enough. This is a great VR RTS game. It's really got a lot to offer, and what can I say? It gets really intense sometimes, and I love that intensity about it. And, I mean, just look how cool this is. The big tactical map, just like the original Homeworld. And anyway, we've completed this mission, and in order to avoid any spoilers, I'm going to end it right here. If you have any questions about this game that I haven't answered in this video, feel free to leave a comment below. If you've made it this far, please like the video. It really helps me out, lets me know that you're enjoying this format. And as always, enjoy yourself out there in VR. This has been Reality Remake.
Targeting weapon.